Hello there, YouTube. I am Necrostevo, and thank you for joining me here once again for low tier Mayhem. Now we are on to week number 6 in season 2. Our opponent this week is J-Bear and the Grevyard. That's right. It's time for us to go for an opponent that understands how to commune with the shadows. Now, of course, his information will be down in the description. A very well-storied draft and singles battle opponent for us this week. Let's take a quick look at the team that he decided to draft. And he has access to Mian Shao, Gyarados, who is his sole Terra captain, Gardevoir, Toxapex, Jolteon, Colossal, Bisharp, Toedscruel, Dusknoir, and Porygon 2. Now for this matchup, I thought for sure we could expect to encounter a few threats. Namely, Toedscruel I figured would be coming for the spinning, and definitely seeing the top 4 or 5 Pokemon there. We do see that we are correct in the sense that we get the first 4 alongside Jolteon, but instead of Colossal, we do see the Porygon 2. Now for our side of the field here, we have our Blunder Policy, Hypnosis Focus Blast Gengar, because I am sure that I'm going to miss a Focus Blast this battle, and I want to have double speed so I can be faster than the Jolteon. We also have our Flamigo. Here it is Choice Scarf Skittles once again. We have our Choice Banded Arcanine coming off the bench for the second time this season, just for throwing off really strong extreme speeds here generally. We have our dedicated lead Mesprit with Stealth Rocks, Knockoff, Mystical Power, and Draining Kiss, Terra Fairy. We have a Terra Ground Flygon, rocking Earthquake, Outrage, U-Turn, and Dragon Dance. Nice and simple there. And then a nice, bulky, but powerful Brambleghast with Rapid Spin, Spikes, Power Whip, and Shadow Sneak. So the idea for this game plan was to primarily just use Arcanine to wall break early and mid-game, and put things into range to be finished off by teammates. The other thing that's nice about this setup is that I have multiple win conditions depending on which sets he has. So he does lead with Gyarados, which I was very surprised to see here. And we know that Gyarados is Terra Ground, which I did expect Terra Flying or Terra Ground going into this. But since he led with Gyarados, I figured, I see Intimidate, he might be a substitute set with Dragon Dance. We're not going to let him have that free substitute or the free Dragon Dance. We're just going to hit him immediately. He does Terra immediately as well, just in case I have Thunderbolt. And he goes for Dragon Dance. He is faster than my Mesprit. This is a very bulky Mesprit. It has max physical defense, a lot of HP, and then the remainder into Spadef. So not even any speed. This one's just timid with a lot of investment. We also see after the Mystical Power goes off that he has leftovers, so definitely a bulkier Gyarados here. I just need to make sure that he's in range. I stay in and I keep on attacking him. Mystical Power will always boost my special attack. Now, I will say right here, I honestly should have gone Terra Fairy and gone for the Draining Kiss. If I had done that, I would have gotten back a significant amount of HP. I did put safety goggles on Mesprit right before the battle started, and I had leftovers on here. I would have loved to have kept the leftovers because I would have at least been matching his recovery. Now here, I could have just stayed in and let Mesprit go down, but I thought that Brambleghast could take a hit and I could finish off the Gyarados with a Shadow Sneak. He would have to be an insane amount of bulk in order for Shadow Sneak to not finish off Gyarados from this range. We do see that it is a 2-hit KO with the Waterfall, even though I'm resisted. And that also means that Terra Ground, Terra Blast will finish me off from here too. But that's okay because Shadow Sneak doesn't KO and he lives on 1. You know, this is going to be a little bit of foreshadowing for the rest of this battle. Now, other things I could have done here, I could have just stayed in with the Mesprit and then allowed myself the opportunity to revenge kill it afterwards. I could have also set up Stealth Rocks at some point with Mesprit instead of just throwing off attacks. Again, I had priority and a Scarfer in the back. I am going to miss those Stealth Rocks so much this battle. Now here I do go out to Arcanine after Brambleghast goes down unceremoniously, and he brings in this annoying Toxapex with Rocky Helmet, which I did anticipate, which is why I had Gengar with Nasty Plot for this battle. Now here I decided to throw off a Hypnosis. If he stayed in, I would love to put the Toxapex to sleep. If he swapped out to something, maybe I'll hit something else, but again, I'm expecting to miss Hypnosis or Focus Blast at some point. You all have seen my track record with accuracy moves in this league. I tend to miss anything that's not 100% accurate. I did hit 2 Mystical Powers earlier though, so he swaps out to the Gyarados probably just to sack it, and I would have loved to have missed right there, because then I would have had double speed for my Blunder Policy. Then I could have attacked the Gyarados. But here, he now has Sleep Fodder, and I was like, great, so what's he going to do now? I'm just going to go for Focus Blast in case he decides to bring out the Porygon 2. And of course, that also allows me another opportunity to miss and hopefully get double speed. He goes out to the Porygon 2, traces my Cursed Body, and I was like, oh right, Trace. That could be a little annoying later. But we do hit the Focus Blast, and we get a Spadef drop. Woohoo! Wahoo! Whippy! Yahoo! Wonderful! Except for he could just swap out again. So, anticipating him to want to switch out, but I didn't expect Toxapex to come in. I just went for a Focus Blast again to at least force him into recovering, and we hit another Focus Blast. Again, I wanted to miss at least one of these moves, so I would be faster than the Jolteon coming in. But Jolteon comes in, and now I'm forced out by it, obviously going for Shadow Ball here. I don't know. It was very useful to hit the Focus Blast on the Porygon 2, but missing it on the Gyarados or on the Jolteon would have been pretty amazing, I guess. I don't know. Maybe it didn't actually end up mattering just because of how the Jolteon came in and it took the Focus Blast. I don't know. We're going to go into a little bit of prediction-heavy play here. So he can basically endlessly swap between Porygon 2 with Recover, the Gardevoir with Leftovers, or the Toxapex with Regenerator. If I'm able to call his switches, I can do very, very heavy damage. We saw that Toxapex came in and took over half from Psychic Fangs because I predicted it to come in. Now, I did not know that the Gardevoir had Leftovers. I was hoping that it'd be like a Scarf Speedy set, because if so, I could put it into range of being 2-shot later. But based off of this Psychic Fang damage, this is definitely a bulky, defensive, probably near max HP Gardevoir. Now, expecting him to be bulky and not have that much investment, I decided to go out to Mesprit, hoping for an opportunity to set up my Stealth Rocks. Ideally, he doesn't even have any speed on this thing, and I can just outspeed it. We do live the Psyshock on 1, and so I'm going to click the Stealth Rocks and hope that I'm faster, but I am not. And so I've lost Mesprit functionally without doing anything, and I lost Brambleghast functionally without doing anything, and Arcanine is already down to less than 30% of its health because of the recoil from Rocky Helmet. Ah, man. I also am losing, I've lost half my health on my Gengar. Again, my opponent has not had a single Pokemon go down so far in this battle. We are so much on the back foot because of how I sacrificed Brambleghast early in the game. And I understand that we're here in the Grevyard, but that doesn't mean I have to put them 6 feet under. Do you understand what I'm saying? An opportunity here, I should have clicked U-turn. Man, if I had clicked U-turn, that would have given me some great, because I could have gone immediately out to Flamigo and made some plays. But I will be honest, I forgot that Porygon switching in would have Trace. And so, since the Gardevoir was already in, I knew that Gardevoir could not trace me because it had already traced another Pokemon. So I was like, great, I get a free Earthquake here. Porygon gets a free swap in, and I don't know. I just have dirt on my face there. That was completely pointless. U-turn. Even Dragon Dance would have been better right there. But he gets to get all that HP back on the Porygon 2. And now we're back into another 50-50. So last time I called the swap out to Toxapex. This time I'm not going to do that. This time we're going to predict that he's going to stay right in here. And I'm going to blast him with the close combat. Now, if I get this wrong and I close combat into the Toxapex, not only will I be taking the Rocky Helmet damage, but also it won't do any damage to the Toxapex. So I gotta call it right. I do get this call right. And again, Arcanine putting up some major damage numbers here. We can see that if I had just U-turned with the Flygon, would have been in a great position. But here, he just plays it safe, stays in, go for the recover. And now I know he's probably going to swap out. And so I decided to swap out to... I'm trying to just catch Toxapex coming in, right? Because if I figure he's going to swap out to Toxapex, and I bring in my Flygon, then I could at least maybe U-turn on his switch back out to Gardevoir or the Porygon 2. And again, in prep, I was prepared for these, but in my mental games, I had the Stealth Rocks up, and I also had Bramble Gas to throw around Leech Seeds to really annoy things trying to swap in and to keep, you know, the pressure up and the HP draining down. So losing Bramble Gas and Mesprit without them doing their jobs has made the rest of my team much more difficult to pilot throughout this battle. Now, I refuse to get 6-0'd. At a certain point, my mindset was like, I can still win this. We have Flamigo, so you all know that as long as Flamigo and Gengar are here, we can win this. So here, expecting him to swap out to the Toxapex, I go for Nasty Plot, and he stays in and goes for Shadow Ball. So while I just said as long as we have Gengar and Flamigo, we can still win, now it's a lot freaking harder. Thanks, J-Bear. All the other times you were swapping, no swap right there? Really? I understand though. It would be a needless risk to switch. Porygon was at a lot of HP, so even if I had Focus Blasted, it wouldn't have KO'd. Alas. So right here, I could go out to Flygon. I do decide to go out to the Flygon. Expecting the Gardevoir to swap in, I go for U-turn, but the Porygon just stays in here. I thought for sure he'd swap out to the Gardevoir. So I decide to go out to Arcanine, expecting an Ice Beam from the Porygon, knowing that I would at least resist that. I could hopefully throw off a strong hit once again. We do get that call right, and that's where I don't know if I'm getting the calls correct, or if it's just that my opponent's defensive core is so solid he doesn't really have to predict too much, right? So I don't feel too proud by getting another prediction correct. Like I called the Toxapex coming in. Okay, it's just gonna swap out and get all that HP back. So here, I predict he's going to swap into the Gardevoir. Once again, we can really see that if I had Stealth Rocks up, these Pokemon would have been getting worn down into ranges of maybe being 2-hit KO'd by Arcanine, especially the Gardevoir coming in. This is like the 4th time the Gardevoir has hit the field. It would be, granted, it's offset a little bit by the leftovers, but as much as he's switching, I should have prioritized getting up Stealth Rocks earlier. Even if my Mesprit went down, if I had the Stealth Rocks up, then I would have had other additional opportunities to do things. Now right here, I do predict that he's just going to want to swap back out to the Toxapex, and so we just go for Brave Bird. And based on this damage, I might be able to finish off the Toxapex. I was just mentally going, please leave this stupid thing in. Do y'all know how many Corsola it has eaten? The souls that have been destroyed that I didn't get to have because of this Toxapex. So leave it in so I can kill it. But J-Bear said no, and he goes out to the Gyarados. And I was like, bet we will take that kill. Not a 6-0. And now that we have First Blood, we are on our way. It is still Pride Month, and Skittles is here. So we do not give up, no matter if it looks like the going is really freaking tough. Do you understand? Mienshao comes in, and that thing was definitely scarfed, but fortunately for us, it only hit the triple axle twice. But that also means that our Flamigo, our brave soldier, goes down right here. I would like to point out that if he had not gotten any hits or only gotten one hit, we would have been really cooking here in the end game if Flamigo were still alive. But I didn't want to risk swapping in anything in case he went for the triple axle, which he did. Now on that delicious, delicious double down, love the sound of that. On that double down, we go out to Arcanine as our opponent goes out to their Gardevoir. Now here, I'm just going to go for Flare Blitz because if he leaves in the Gardevoir expecting me to expect him to do something, I'm just going to hit it as hard as possible. Actually, another reason that I had Banded Arcanine is because if he brought like a specially defensive or assault vested Toxapex, Band and Arcanine can two-shot it too. So it is very good that he had a physically defensive Toxapex here. Now our last Pokemon is Flygon, and ladies and gentlemen, I am going to interrupt this broadcast with myself. This is Necro. We have suffered catastrophic power outages here, and so my last Pokemon is Flygon. But at this point in the battle, Flygon's going to need several boosts in order to still sweep the team. I think I would need to be able to two-shot the Porygon 2 with Outrage, and honestly, even after all that, I still don't have that much gas left in the tank, especially because we know the Porygon 2 has Ice Beam, which will 2-hit KO Flygon. We do hope that the Toxapex is going to swap out right here, which it does, so I am able to get a Dragon Dance. But when the Gardevoir comes in, it's still immune to the Dragon-type move, and so my only way to hit it is to go for U-turn. U-turn was doing about 30% from this range, and so hoping that his best way to hit me was the Moonblast. I knew I could live a Moonblast, and so I was hoping to just continue to grab those boosts with Dragon Dance. Unfortunately for that game plan, if he has Encore, this won't work, because then I'll just get locked into Encore, and then I'll get two-shot or, whatever by Gardevoir from that point. But if he doesn't have it, now we're at +2/+2, so I know I outspeed everything he has remaining, and yeah, he does have the Encore. So unfortunate there. That means that this is going to be an 0-3, 0-4 loss to J-Bear. Looks like the shadows are what's buried in the Grevyard this week. But really, really proud of how we battled back from that initial 0-6 situation that we were looking like we were going to be in. That looked like I was going to just get wiped out because of the misplays early in the game versus the Gyarados. Should have just stayed in with Mesprit, but also should have prioritized getting up the Stealth Rock. We see here the Stealth Rock would have turned a couple of 3-hit KOs into 2-hit KOs, and that could have been all the difference, especially with Arcanine being paired with those Stealth Rocks. So should have prioritized that a little bit sooner, and I think we could have done better. All that being said, thank you all for being here to listen to the outro of this battle. Sorry for no editing this week. I appreciate you all watching all the same. With the power outage and the heat advisory and the extreme humidity where I live, we're just trying to kind of make it day to day right now. And my next opponent, I haven't even been able to battle him yet because of the power outage. But fortunately, going to head over to the library, hopefully to get this uploaded on time. And shout outs to my editor for still pumping out a thumbnail for me, even though I know you're not feeling well. I appreciate you, Stariana. Shout outs to my opponent, J-Bear. Thank you again for the match. And make sure you go check out his channel in the description. And in the meantime, this is a reminder for those of you who stayed to the end of the video. Check your emergency plans. For a power outage, you're going to want multiple sources of backup power. So battery packs, camping packs, ways to cook out if you need, because we just had a little fire pit, so we've been using that. Several battery packs, of course, we will have to recharge them hopefully at the library. Other things that are going to be important are having potable water. So we had a lot of water saved up because some stuff went wrong with the water system here. But, we were prepared for that as well. So this is just your reminder to check your emergency plan. You want to have it in place before you actually need it. Much like a Pokemon battle. Once you're in the battle, it's too late to change the sets. You have to roll with what you have. So once you're in the emergency, it's too late to change what you have. So take this as a little reminder and as a token of my appreciation that you're here. Next week, we are going to be going up against Freedomion, I believe. So that'll be Freedomion and the Welshions. So make sure you come back for that battle. And hopefully by freaking then, I'll have some power going on here. The longest power outage I have ever been in. Back in, I want to say the mid-2000s. I was in Virginia and we were without power for like 2.5 weeks in the middle of the summer due to some transformer blowing up or something like that. The other time I was without power was during law school, and I had to study by candlelight because law students still had to take their finals, but they canceled finals for all the undergraduate students. So I was like, wow, this is like throwback times here. I'm studying by candlelight to go take a written 3-hour-long exam. No big deal. Put your powerless stories in the comments. I'd love to commiserate with you. And in the meantime, I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching, and good night.